All right, great. I see folks coming online. Afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Peer-to-Peer Virtual World Conference, and I'm glad you can be here. Thanks to all of our sponsors and hosts for making this possible again, including GivePanel, who's going to have a great session right now. Megan, if you want to go ahead and click through, I'm going to cover quickly. I think by now everybody knows how to use Zoom, but just a couple of housekeeping tips on the next slide. We are recording this, of course. You may have heard the recording on the inside at the start of this. If you have any questions, put them in the Q&A and just feel free to chat away to your panelists and each other in the chat area as well. And they'll get to the questions along the way. And be sure to stick around at the end to fill out the survey to tell us what you thought of this session and how we can make the whole conference better in the future and what kind of things you want to hear about. But now I'm going to turn it over to Megan and Ashley.
Great, thanks so much. We're super excited to be here, everyone. Happy Friday. Oh, that pink glow is really doing me some help over here. Mark just mentioned about using that Q&A functionality in your window. I think we're all familiar with it right now, but if anybody will maybe chime in and just let us know where you're calling in from today, what state, or are you hiding in a closet from your kids because they're already home from school? Tell us where you are calling in from, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So let's just practice for a quick second using that Q&A module. Give everybody a quick second to do that. I know people are still logging in too. Mark started right on time. Let me see if I see it in the chat. You can use the chat or the Q&A. There we go. We got up some friends from Colorado. Just want to give everyone one more second to log in with us. If you're just joining, we're just using the Q&A really quick to say where we are calling in from. Ashley and I really want this to be interactive. It's Friday. It's Friday afternoon. We don't want to talk at you for a full hour. So we want to make sure you know where that chat functionality is, that Q&A. So just drop us a note really quick. Let us know where you're calling in from. We got Boston. Perfect. All right, I'm going to dive in, but as we go, like I said, use the chat, use the Q&A, whatever you need. California, but look, West Coast, East Coast. This is a national webinar. We've got the whole country represented now. So welcome everyone. Welcome Chicago, our friends in Chicago. All right, let's get started. Today we're covering what we call It Pays to Think. And we're gonna talk about using Facebook and thanking your fundraisers to double your acquisition efforts. So before we get started, again, we know it's Friday, you've had a long week. Everyone take your hands off of your phones, look at the screens for a second or close your eyes. Let's just imagine a world, right, where you can acquire brand new donors for your organization for free, $0 for acquisition, and generate even more income just by thanking them. That's what we're going to talk about today. It is completely possible in the world of Facebook. So here is just a quick snapshot of some really awesome results we're going to talk to you about that our friends at AFSP are going to share. But in the next hour, we're going to cover a couple of things. So the first thing we're talking about is the core problem with Facebook fundraising and how can we solve it? Why it's important to not only thank your fundraisers, but also to bring them into your organization. These are members of your family. We need to treat them that way. And then actionable steps you can start doing right now to help with your Facebook fundraising, to really optimize your results, see more money, get more people into your donor database, all of that good stuff. So that's what you're going to walk away from today. So we have a jam-packed hour planned for you. So before we dive in, let's think about, is this the right session for you? Does this sound like you? So Ashley, I'll have you raise your hand maybe if any of these strike a chord with you. Is anybody stressed about hitting their fundraising numbers? I know every single nonprofit I talk to, that's probably one of them. Oh, there's Ashley's hand already. You've set up Facebook fundraising, but maybe you're not exactly sure what you should be doing. You're starting to see some of those birthday fundraisers, but really not a huge increase in revenue or engagement. You keep hearing how other nonprofits are really just smashing it. They're having these amazing results, but you're not really sure how to do that. Or Facebook's going well, but we gotta make some more out of this. We gotta raise more money. We gotta have bigger acquisition numbers. We've got to optimize this more. If any of that sounds like you, the good news is AFSP, like I said, has solved all of these things, and we're going to talk through exactly what we did with them to have amazing results. Not only have our friends maintained their fundraising average as their number of fundraisers have fluctuated throughout the months, we've also increased their data capture rates. And now you may not know exactly what that means yet, but I'm going to help you understand that as we go through this next hour. But they have increased their rates. So that's people that they move from Facebook into their donor database 167% since April. They've also created a supplemental user journey that has really brought people in, made them feel more connected with the organization, and allowed them to have a more personal and meaningful relationship with their fundraisers. So again, going to dive into all of that. But first, I want to quickly introduce myself and my good friend here that's going to present with me. So my name is Megan Rouse, and I am based here in North Carolina, so East Coast. And I'm obsessed with that golden retriever in the top right photo. His name is Taco. I have been a fundraiser literally just about my entire life. I don't want to brag, but you're looking at the top cookie sales for Girl Scouts 2 years in a row when I was a brownie. So I started really young, and I am obsessed with fundraising. I've had over 10 years of experience working for organizations like Leukemia Lymphoma Society, Susan G. Komen, Boys and Girls Club, Four Diamonds. Fundraising is truly, truly my passion. You may see a wall of medals behind me. And you're like, oh, that girl likes to run. No, this girl loves to fundraise. Almost every single one of those medals comes with a fundraiser. I'm also the Senior Vice President of Strategy and Development here at GivePanel, and I'm really excited to be with you today. I'm going to turn it over to my good friend, Ashley, to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Ashley Alberto. I will be honest with you. I could talk about fundraising all day, but talking about myself is a little bit of my least favorite thing to do, but I'm going to power through this. So I am based out of Orlando, Florida, but I work remotely for the AFSP headquarters, which is out of New York City. I do read and I travel a lot pre-pandemic. I haven't quite stepped on a plane since the pandemic began. But that is okay because that stoic little boy in the corner there is my little boy, Boudreaux. So we have a lot of bonding time. And then I have over 15 years of nonprofit experience. I worked for a number of local organizations as well as national organizations, including American Heart Association and American Cancer Society. And I currently serve as the Senior Director of Individual Giving at the National Office for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So a little bit about AFSP. So our mission is to save lives and bring hope to those affected by suicide. And we do that through 4 of our core policies, or I guess our little sections, which is education, so that's suicide prevention education, through a number of programs that we have to meet various sections of the community, whether it be LGBTQ, veterans, whatever it is, we always have a program so that we can speak to the needs of the community. We also do that through loss support. So anyone who has unfortunately lost a loved one to suicide, we also have support resources for them. Scientific research. We are the largest private funder of scientific research for suicide in the country, and actually the world. And then we also do it through advocacy. So we have, I think right now it's 34,000 field advocates who volunteer their time to speak to their legislators about mental health legislation at the local and national level. In the past year, if I remember correctly, it was 27 bills that were passed for mental health legislation. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. And so what we try to do is take a science-based approach to make sure that we save lives, but also support those who unfortunately lost those close to them.
Great, thank you. And just a quick little bit about GivePanel. So just like I said, I'm obsessed with fundraising. GivePanel is obsessed with amazing organizations like Ashley's doing amazing, incredible work. So our goal is to give the staff organizations as much time back in terms of bandwidth, resources, where they can go work on that work and we can help make their lives easier. So we think about GivePanel as kind of a power tool where all of the things that you need to be successful with Facebook fundraising, Instagram fundraising are all housed in one place for your team. If you have spent any time in the world of Facebook fundraising, that makes a lot of sense to you. If you have not, I encourage you to go into Facebook and download a Facebook report. While Facebook is a fantastic tool, some of the information that we get from Facebook or how we can manage our fundraisers is definitely not an easy experience. So GivePanel is very passionate about making that easier, as well as optimizing fundraising results as well. So Ashley, talk to us a little bit before we dive into how we solved some of your problems and how we're achieving some really great results. Tell us a little bit about your fundraising and kind of the goals that you were looking to accomplish.
Sure. So, what is it now? 3.5 years ago, when Facebook really started exploding with the birthday fundraisers, we saw a lot of people supporting us, which was great, but we had no idea how to get in touch with them, how to even say thank you, how to do anything, because if any of you have pulled a report from Facebook, it's hit or miss what kind of data you get from the report. And then also it is an all-inclusive report. So sifting through it, sorting it, and trying to understand what you're actually seeing was really difficult. And so what we wanted to do first and foremost was have the ability to reach out to those fundraisers and say thank you. And then also let them know about the organization. And so we went through some different trials and different ways that we tried to do that. And one of the first ways was by using automated systems. Now, our Facebook does not utilize Messenger on our site because we are not a crisis organization. But we did set up a separate entity where we're able to talk to the donors through an automated system. The only issue with that we found was that with the nature of our mission, people quickly were like, is this a real person? Am I talking to a real person? And while we were able to answer that message, there was obviously a delay in that. So what we were trying to do during that point was to find out what our Facebook donors were interested in. We would send them surveys. Are you interested in research? Are you interested in everything? What are you looking to do? And through that process, we were able to get a good understanding of what our Facebook supporters were interested in. We were able to thank them, but we still were missing, I think, the very personal touch to it. And that's where we started working with GivePanel. And with GivePanel, we were able to, and we're going to talk more about this in detail, but we were able to create basically a message journey with them, a way to email them, to work them through getting to know AFSP better, making sure that they were supported. But by using the email system, it was more of a conversation between two people versus the questioning how they were actually being contacted, which has worked really beneficial for us. We did a lot of strategies additionally to that we're going to go into, but that's how our kind of journey with Facebook looked like. Because again, our priority was to thank, but to thank in a meaningful way that meant something to the people who are creating Facebook fundraisers.
Yeah, that's great. I'll just add one little caveat in here too. As you saw in a previous slide, AFSP has thousands and thousands of fundraisers a month, which is a fantastic problem to have, right, Ashley? So we work with AFSP in a way that we actually help with some of the strategies that we're going to show today. These are strategies that you can implement, like I said, right now, today, starting as soon as you get off of this call, especially our friends on the West Coast. Sorry, it's Happy Friday, but you got a few more hours ahead of you. As well as, find a partner that can help with the bandwidth this as well. The one thing we want Facebook to be is a great tool that brings in revenue and lots of new supporters, and we don't want it to be a burden or something we can't make time for. So there are definitely ways to explore that. So let's talk about the evolution of fundraising. I don't think anyone's surprised by kind of how we got to where we are. But originally we started, I'm experiencing this right now. I was just telling Ashley this morning, I'm doing a fundraiser in my neighborhood and everyone is like 50 years older than me. And so everyone's writing me checks. And I forgot that I live in a world where people still have a checkbook, because I'm in the world of online fundraising. I gave you a link. You can make a donation on my personal website, or even now we're seeing this big boom in social fundraising on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and these other ways of seeing money come in. So we're just continuing to evolve. And with that, we have to evolve how we nurture and love on these people who are doing amazing work for our organizations. So social fundraising is definitely disrupting traditional online fundraising. I'm going to dive into all of the great things we have today, but wanted to give a little base and background. So Facebook fundraising has actually now raised, Facebook and Instagram have now raised over $5 billion with a B dollars through their fundraising efforts. So I wanted to show this because we always get the question, well, isn't Facebook fundraising, is it starting to slow down? Are people getting tired of it? Everyone has a birthday. The answer is no, 5 billion with a B. Last year, Facebook jumped from 3 billion to 5 billion during a pandemic. We also saw that traditional fundraising, obviously, and Ashley could write a whole book on this now that she's lived through it, but with the events, so walks and other things that organizations were doing were declining because events were not able to happen last year, and we saw a huge uptick in social media fundraising. So, but why? Like, how do we get to 5 billion with a B? Why does it work so well? One, there are 2.89 billion active users on Facebook. And that's active. That's not, hey, I set up a Facebook, I never look at it. These people are logging in. You guys all know this. They're logging in multiple times a day. Also, that's immediate connection. Facebook is where my family and my friends, my nieces and nephews, who I embarrass because I'm old and on Facebook. That's where they all are, right? Even the young ones, even if they're on other cooler things, they still have a presence on Facebook. It's frictionless. Amazon, Facebook, like those are the two best experiences I think I've ever had as a consumer. It's so dang easy to use these platforms, and I get immediate reactions from my friends, and I keep in touch. I just told someone the other day, like, oh yeah, this person I've been friends for 30 years, which I don't like saying that because that makes me feel old, but I haven't actually talked to them in the last 2 years. I'm just keeping up with them on social media. Another great thing about Facebook fundraising is 9 out of 10 fundraisers are brand new to your organization. This is what peer-to-peer was meant to be when we created it. It was an acquisition tool for your organization, and it's happening organically on Facebook. And number 5, one of the best things as well is it's free. It's free for your nonprofit. But with all of that comes a little bit of heartache from Facebook as well, right? So you get little to no data. Facebook created this amazing thing, and they give you a report that you can definitely make work for you, but it's kind of hard to figure out. You got to spend some time on it. You have less ownership and control. Again, Facebook created some really wonderful things. Here it is. Good luck, right? We're raising $5 billion with a B. Lack of charity admin features. A lot of our nonprofit friends want to control so many intimate details of fundraising, and so it's hard to not be able to do that. There's not a lot of tracking and attribution. The reporting is, again, very minimal and somewhat confusing depending on your level of expertise in manipulating Excel, but it's very hard to pull a report and see like, hey, my friend Ashley right here raised $500 last month. It's not as easy to get to in the reporting. There's also a little bit of lack of support product and kind of support tech. So while it's a lot of good things, there are some heartaches that come along with Facebook as well. But today we're going to dive into 3 secrets, which I guess aren't secrets anymore because we're going to share them with everyone on this call, but 3 secrets we use to enhance AFSP's Facebook fundraising. So number 1, we're going to talk about thanking your fundraisers. Everyone pull out a pen, or if you don't have paper, or write on your iPad, or whatever notes you need to take. This is the most important thing you need to hear today, is thanking your fundraisers. So Ashley, tell us why it's important to thank your fundraisers.
So, I mean, stewardship in itself, I mean, one, it's free, it's easy, and you see the benefit immediately from your donors, just in an appreciation and continued support. And so while we saw all of these, not only fundraisers being created, but also these donors, to not have the ability to just say thank you was something that was just one really, painful for us, but also at the same time, we knew it was not forward thinking because we needed to be able to engage these individuals because obviously they had a passion for the cause. And so with our Facebook fundraisers, we really wanted to make that a priority. First of all, be able to recognize them, but then also how could we make it fun? How could we make it engaging for them to become involved? And so one of the things that we did that we've really leaned into with GivePanel is our Facebook recognition program. And essentially what that is the opportunity, similar to events, any events you have where there's like some sort of an incentive program where once you reach some sort of a fundraising milestone, you have a menu of items that you can choose from. So we wanted to be able to offer that to our Facebook fundraisers as well. And so we started the Facebook recognition program that allows us to offer incentive items once they meet certain milestones. We've recently tried to take that to the next level because we wanted to have some excitement around this recognition program and get people really involved in it. And so one of the things that I have been really pleased about how it turned out is we started asking those who redeemed for a gift because they reached a certain milestone to send us a picture with what they received through their fundraiser, as well as a quote about why the organization was important to them and why it was important for them to do a fundraiser and support the cause. And here are 2 examples on the screen now of 2 individuals who submitted, and we share that on social media, Facebook, as well as direct them to the Facebook recognition program so they can learn more. But not only for us is it very heartwarming because we get these really great pictures. I love the smile in the corner. And we get to hear why they're passionate about the cause, but it really does engage, and it feels like you're about more than just doing this Facebook fundraiser, where it feels like sometimes you're kind of doing this fundraiser and no one can really, like, nothing really happens around it. We wanted to create something around it.
Yeah, I love this for two reasons. One, you've now made your fundraisers the hero of not only their story, but your organization's story as well. So that's fantastic. And then I am married to a marketing guru, and this is user generated content at its like this, the great example of this. So not only have we taken the step one where we're going to show you how to thank and how to actually thank your fundraisers, but this is taking it to kind of the second, third, fourth level. So really great job on this. Let's talk through your thank you messages. So these are, Ashley's going to walk us through these, but these are comments and posts or on each individual's Facebook fundraiser done by the organization. So you can see that they don't come from Ashley. They come from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So Ashley, I'll throw this back to you.
Sure. So a couple of things I want to point out before we dive into the content is um, two big things that have made a difference with the messages that we've been doing with GivePanel. The first being the use of emojis. We went through a period with someone where we didn't use emojis, and we all know the importance of emojis. It's just a game changer when you post something. So that was something we were super excited to get back, is to be able to do that. The second is the sign off. Michael Swire is my colleague who works with me on all things Facebook. Having it signed off by him, having his email address, having direct contact with him, it's just really personalized because they email Mike, he emails them right back, and they're able to have that conversation. So with the content, GivePanel worked with us, and what is great too is that these messages are tested for effectiveness. Like how many people are actually following the links, how many people are following through. First and foremost, it's great because we're just able to thank. Regardless of anything else happening, we're able to say thank you, and they have a way to contact us through Mike. So, bottom basement, we're able to meet our needs. After that, we really wanted to lean into that Facebook recognition program. So you can see here, you have the link to the form to get the contact information we need, but also as, kind of like the little hook for them, fill out the form, and you also learn about all of this great prizes that you can win. So again, it's short, sweet. Thank you so much. You're making a huge difference in our mission. Please fill out the form. And then from there, there's little reminders again as well of to fill out the form. But again, the main things that we're hitting at the very elemental level is that thank you and the contact information, but also really trying to hook them in with you really want to share your information with us because we have these really great programs and incentives that you can get by filling out the form.
Yeah, that's great. So GivePanel overall sees about a 23% lift in fundraising for those organizations that do go in and thank. And this is a thank you on each and every fundraiser for your organization. So like I said, AFSP is really blessed and they work really hard, but also very fortunate to have thousands of fundraisers a month. So that is someone logging in every single day, posting messages. Granted, we partner with them on that, but that is something that just like when someone does something amazing for you in your personal life, whether they hand you a piping hot coffee first thing in the morning because you're really tired and you're in the Starbucks line and the barista remembers your name or whatever that experience might be, you're saying thank you all throughout your day. This is something that happens every single day for your fundraisers. Mm-hmm. So I also want to talk a little bit about, Ashley shared a lot about, you shared a lot about the mission for your organization and how you have a lot of people who are very open with their story. So I want to talk a little bit about the in-memory messaging that you guys utilize as well.
Yeah, and absolutely. And before I jump into that, there's only one other thing that I want to say. I'm very big on being able to pivot based off of the needs of what we've seen on Facebook. I will say that's the only other thing that I really like with the messages is again, because GivePanel is tracking the interaction and what messages people are actually responding to. If they are not responding to a message, we immediately pivot and start trying new messages so that we can continue to raise that number of engagement in those who are filling out the form. So I just wanted to add that as well of being able to be nimble and flexible based off of what you're actually hearing from your community. So with our mission, We do have individuals who use the opportunity to create a Facebook fundraiser in memory, also in honor of a loved one. And they're able to share their story as well, which is hugely important. We always want to create a safe, comforting space for people to share their story. And there are a lot of different fundraisers that come to AFSP, whether it's for a walk, whether it's just birthday, whether it's for one of our notable months or weeks like National Suicide Prevention Week, May Mental Health Month. We have a variety of different ones that are caused. But in the case of In Memory, those are obviously very special to us because we want to make sure that we're supporting those individuals and their family. And so when they share their story to us, and they indicate that they've lost a loved one to suicide, what's great is that GivePanel team identifies that message, and we were able to draft a special message for those individuals about, one, expressing, our sympathies for their loss, but we just were able to change the tone because we didn't want someone to post it In Memory something and we're like, great, thank you so much. It's a different tone, it's a different way to reach out. And so we were able to personalize that. And we've done that in many instances when we're just like, we need to change the tone of how we're thanking them. And GivePanel has been able to take that on for us to help identify those and then use those messages to make sure, again, it's like we're speaking to the individual, not the group.
Yep, that's great. So here are a couple of the best practices. So lessons learned that we've learned along the way. Ashley said that we meet at the end of every month. We continue to work to optimize these messages. We track everything, what's working the best. So again, we see an average increase of 23% in fundraising when you thank your fundraisers. So if you are not doing that, you need to do that right now. You can even be multitasking on this call, but you've got to start individually thanking every single fundraiser. Again, we do that by going into their fundraiser and posting either messages or comments, but that happens in each individual's fundraisers. They get the alerts, they're notified, they are able to interact with you at that point. So it comes from your organization. At least one thank you on every fundraiser is definitely step one. Make sure these messages are personal, meaningful, and short. So again, these are the heroes of your organization. I, again, am obsessed with fundraising, and I think the fundraisers are the backbone of every organization. My parents will write a check or make a donation. It takes them 2-3 minutes to do that. A fundraiser is out there pounding the pavement, telling their story, connecting people to your organization, asking, sometimes begging for donations. It's a much different, deeper connection. So we need to honor that and really bring them into the fold. So again, the messages are very personal. They're signed by a person. Ashley mentioned that when she's talked about Michael's signature. They come from a person. They're short. Your organization is great, and there are a lot of great things about your organization. Thanking me is not the time to tell me about all of them, right? A few sentences will do. Be consistent when it comes to thank you. Again, we recommend doing it every single day. You have people signing up to fundraise for you every day. You should be thanking them every day. So that may look at, you may need to take some time and plan that out. How are you actually going to do that? Does someone in your team man it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Does someone take it on the second half of the week? Is it just you? Are you the CEO, the HR, the mission person? Do you do it all for your organization? Maybe you need to scale this down to 2 times a week, but be consistent. Whatever that plan is, create the plan, execute the plan. Again, just saying thank you will increase your fundraising. This is the best timing for messages. So this is what we have found is day one. So when the fundraiser is created, you'll actually see, I have a little snapshot of this. Oops, sorry, one too many. You'll actually see the line in their fundraiser that says, Charlie or whoever created a fundraiser. This is actually a comment. So day one, that first thank you should be a comment. We have seen a lot better conversion by testing this out. So comment for that first one. And then the second one, day 5, is a post. So it is a regular post in the fundraisers in their page. So yes, you do it twice. Megan, you're telling me I have to thank my fundraisers more than once? Heck yes, they are raising lots of money for you. They're doing really good work. You should say thank you twice to them. That is the sweet spot that we have found. Take your time when posting. Ashley talked a lot about this, especially depending on the nature of your organization, but make sure to read about the fundraiser. Your organization is able to set that default content, but people want to tell their own stories. So I fundraise a lot in memory of my dad. Again, I would want a different message if I'm doing something in honor or memory of someone than if I'm gonna, I don't know, jump in a lake if I raise $500 and it's freezing cold, or I don't know, something a little more fun and playful gets that kind of messaging, and something a little bit more serious gets a different type of message. We also want you to take your time, because there seems to be a magic number. If you just pull up that list and you're like, oh, I'm doing what that girl Megan told me, I downloaded all this list, or I'm going to go in and think all of my Facebook fundraisers, just I have a quick hour, I'm going to knock it out. If you go over about 50 per hour, Facebook says, whoa, 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 are you spamming? Or do you need to be locked out of Facebook for a little bit? Do you need a little Facebook timeout? So not only is it important because you should be connecting on a meaningful level with your participants or your fundraisers, but also Facebook's going to slap your hand if you go too fast. So Facebook kind of forces you to be thoughtful with that content. That is a lot of information on the best practices. This deck and the recording will be shared with you, but here is what we have found has really optimized and helps in thanking our fundraisers. Every day, thank them twice and take your time when thanking them. All right. I think we had, let me look at this one question.
Yeah, you did have a question from Amanda. She wanted to know that they have trouble finding or seeing the information for Facebook fundraisers that get set up. Any tips on how to see them?
Yeah, so, and we can touch base offline as well, Amanda. Tools like GivePanel will help you in terms of downloading that information. When you download it into our system, it actually gets a big button that says brand new. Hello, I'm new. No one's ever talked to me. This is the first time you're seeing me. It is a little bit harder, like we talked about at the beginning, to kind of dive into those Facebook reports and looking on the wall. So we can talk offline if you need some other solutions, but we do have a solution for you that can help you really identify every single day who is brand new to your fundraising list. Okay, everyone take a deep breath, because that was a lot of homework. We've talked about thanking 2 times your fundraisers. Now we've got to move them beyond Facebook. So what does that actually mean? I'm gonna hand it back to you, Ashley.
Sure. So we have a lot, like I said, the work that we have is expansive. But you can't say that on social media. As Megan said, you can't write a book about how great you are on social media because people aren't really going to read it. And so we wanted to be able to let people know, because there might be people who are really needing the resources or wanting to know what they're supporting. So it was so important to us to get that data from those supporters so that we then have that opportunity to engage them and make sure that we're meeting the needs or letting them know how their donations are being spent and how they're being used wisely. And that's why, again, I want to say that the flexibility of the messages is so important to us, because if we're not keeping that, as you can see, that new contact rate or getting that information from those contacts, we're just really missing an opportunity with that. And you can see here on this graph where it goes down and then we start to climb up, you can see where new strategies are actually being utilized in order to create that uplift, which, if any, fundraisers out there, it's like the dream scenario that it's like, okay, we've pivoted, we've made the answer so that we can help engage them. And again, with that email journey and everything we do to put them into our CRM to make sure that they're getting information from us, we're hopefully creating lifelong supporters or people who will get involved at the local level, volunteer, get support that they need, whatever way that we can meet them where they are. We want to be able to do that, but if we don't have their information, we can't do that.
Yeah, as a rule of thumb too, we say that every new supporter that you bring, you move beyond Facebook. So just like Ashley said, into your database, we average them about $100 in terms of lifetime value. We know some will go on to do bigger and better things. We know some that will do a little bit less. So the average, the sweet spot we see right now is about $100. So if you're looking at your Facebook fundraising and you're thinking, okay, even if you're starting at these lower conversion rates, which we were really proud of at the beginning, and like Ashley said, we've been testing and changing, and now we're up to almost 40%. 40% of the fundraisers that come in give the contact information and go on to be hopefully cultivated or brought into the organization. If you look at that and you think $100 per each one of those at 40%, it's a pretty awesome conversion rate. So kudos, Ashley, to you and your team for, I know it's hard to test, it's hard to try new things. And so you guys have been on the forefront. Okay, tell us what's next. How do we make this better? So that's really awesome. I'm gonna talk a little bit about this too, because I know this might be Ashley's favorite slide of the entire, the favorite slide of the entire presentation when we look at these numbers.
Oh, okay. So sorry, me.
That's okay.
My favorite slide. So one of the main things that we looked at when we started this Facebook journey is whenever we were giving the capabilities to engage with donors and to steward them, we wanted to know, does it make a difference in terms of how much they raise for the organization? You know, it's that sort of, for me, I think this is like visual proof of what a thank you does. And so what you'll see is with the blue, I'll start with the blue. Blue are those who have created a Facebook fundraiser, but they did not fill out the form. So they've not gone on the email journey. They probably haven't redeemed for an incentive gift. Like there's just been no engagement whatsoever. And the bar in hot pink, red, whatever, is those who filled out the form and actually then went on the email journey and became engaged with the organization. And as you can see, it's a significant increase in how much they raise per fundraiser when they do actually engage with the organization. And for us, I will say from a logistical standpoint, it's like, okay, what we're doing with, GivePanel as a partner actually is showing results. But also at the same time, it just further confirms, while we are thanking everyone across the board, we know for these are the people, when they fill out the form, they're the people who really want to get involved. And so that's also a good use of our time that we're able to bring them into the fold in a sense.
Yeah, great. So I want to talk a little bit about this beyond Facebook. What does this mean? If everything is happening on Facebook, right? So your fundraising is happening, your thank you's happening, all of your new people are just living on Facebook. What happens? Not that this will happen, but what happened tomorrow if Facebook said, you know what? No more. We're done. We're done with Facebook fundraising, 5 billion. We feel good about it. Does that give anybody a little bit of heartburn or a little bit of, oh my gosh, what's happening? So we have to work to kind of not only move them off Facebook, so we have a little bit more control, but also as well, just like when you think about buying a new pair of pants or looking for a vacation or all of these things I'm saying now, my phone's going to listen to me and I'm going to get ads for them after. But you get targeted in multiple ways. We need to be doing that as organizations as well. I get targeted on social media via email. I now get text messages from different things. So we want to make sure we're hitting people in multiple ways. And again, it's giving your organization more control in the long term as well. So we want to bring people, get their information off of Facebook and bring them into your organization, just like Ashley said. Ashley.
Oh, okay. So with Facebook fundraiser engagement, there's a couple of things that we try to look at. I mean, obviously from the foundation, whenever you all have probably seen it, whenever your birthday's coming up, Facebook will send you an alert of, fundraise for your favorite charity, and you can choose a charity to do that. That is a lot, and I will say that was the predominant fundraising that we saw on Facebook when this began. Since then, we've really evolved that to try to make it as easy as possible for people to raise funds for that. And what I mean from that is that, so that, for instance, our walks, we're able now to have an integration so that people can connect their their Facebook fundraiser to their walk fundraiser. But outside of that, we have people, as we've already talked about, who do in memory fundraisers, who do in honor fundraisers, who do fundraisers just for those notable dates like May Mental Health Month, and then just because they want to support AFSP. So because again, Facebook does not pass on that data, that's why it's really important to have that posted to get that information from them. But again, by doing all of that, being able to thank and get their information, there's a huge uplift in what they're doing and what their fundraising is. Because we also share with them through their email journey, places you can go to get social graphics from us. So we have a whole suite of social graphics that our Facebook fundraisers can use to help indicate what people and all of their friends are giving to. So we're trying to engage all of our Facebook fundraisers where they are based off of what their fundraiser is, thanking them and also giving them tools to be impactful in what they're doing. So it is a multi-pronged engagement, opportunity that we're all sharing with you. But again, as you saw from the previous graph, the uplift that is a result of doing all of that is, it speaks for itself.
Great. I'm going to walk you through a little bit of the journey. So what do we mean when you say capture? You guys have lost me. What do I do here? So here's kind of the process a fundraiser would experience. So Our good friend Daniel right here set up his fundraiser. He actually already met his goal because he's a rock star. So Daniel sets up a fundraiser. And then I actually change people. Then Daniel gets a comment or a thank you from AFSP, whether that is actually the staff at AFSP, a volunteer, an agency that's helping them, GivePanel, whoever, they are thanked. Remember, we're thanking every single fundraiser. As part of this thank you message, and you saw earlier when Ashley was sharing them, you saw this link. This is the link that we use to get their contact information. AFSP uses it as a give us your information so we can tell you about the amazing items that you can earn, so we can recognize you for being such a rock star. You don't have to give a gift to get someone's information. So there's a lot of best practices about that we'll talk about. But this is an example of a, oops, sorry, take my hands off my mouse. This is an example of a GivePanel form. This could be any kind of form you want. It could be to a Google Doc. It could be to anything. We made our forms look like you're still on Facebook, so it feels very similar to all the things you've experienced thus far. You'll note here that we ask for their first name, their last name, and their email address. I know that's very hard for a lot of people. That's all we need right now to at least bring them in, right? You don't need their t-shirt size and their birthday and their cell phone and their address and their mother's maiden name. You don't need all that information. I know your data people and your nonprofit want it for the CRM and all that good stuff. This is the bare bones of what we need to start that relationship, to bring them on this journey. Then they click submit, and you are able to take them to whatever that is next. It should not be an ask. So in this case, we take them to that amazing site where they can see, have I earned a gift yet? Or am I close to earning a gift? This could be reading about someone's story. This could be, hey, take action and sign a petition. Anything that they could do to say yes again to your organization or learn more. But this is definitely not a donation ask because they're fundraising for you. They're already doing some really great revenue stuff for you. So this is to bring them into your org. So I get a thank you. I say, oh, that's really nice. I click on the link, I provide my details, and now the organization has my contact information. Ashley, did I miss anything in that process that you like or want to highlight?
No, I think we're about to go into the email journey, correct?
On number 3.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So no, that's great.
Great. So best practices for capturing donor information. So again, we have seen 167% increase since April. So we've done a couple of different things here. We've played with how we thank people. We've played with the messaging around that link. We've played with the actual form itself in terms of the header, the beloved emoji, the information we're asking for. So we do ask for the information twice. Remember, we thank them on day 1 and on day 5. If they've already provided their information, their thank you is just a generic thank you on day 5, but we do ask for it twice. We have to remember, 1, we're asking people for their email address. Like, do you really, that's my most prized thing. You're gonna spam me, you're gonna email me. Do you really need my email address? So we're asking for something that's a little high, viewed as high value. And then 2, we have to ask multiple times, because think about the times that you check Facebook. Are you at a red light? Are you on a bathroom break at work? Are you going to bed and falling asleep holding your phone? Are you waking up really quick before, when your alarm goes off and spending a few minutes scrolling on Facebook? And you're doing all sorts of things. You're multitasking. You're cooking dinner for kids. You know, are you really doing what we're asking you to on the first try? Wouldn't that make everyone's life so much easier if we just had to ask everybody one time for one thing? It doesn't work that way. So we've got to ask a couple of times in a couple of different ways. Hey, can we have your information? We want to bring you into our family. Again, make sure that form is short, please. I wish I had bolded and underlined and put 25 exclamations here. I know this part is really, really hard because we want to know so much more about these amazing people, but step 1, bring them in, got to be nice and short. We're only asking for the necessary data. Again, you saw that Ashley's team is actually sending out gifts, right? I can earn a t-shirt, I can earn a mug. We found ways to not capture all that information right here, right? I don't need it all right here. I need your first name, last name, and email address. We use language in the message to drive urgency. So we see, this one is really great because we're offering a gift, but we see things like, this really helps our work. Please fill out this form. This really helps our work is like our most magical sentence that we probably have for all of our clients that don't offer a gift. And then again, you want to make sure that the link is, 1, not super, super long. So where we have it is probably the longest you want it to be. And it appears before the read more ... So we want it to be a short message with a thank. We want the link to be above the fold, because not everyone's going to click. People are going to say, oh, they were just thanking me, that's all they wanted. So make sure your link to your contact form is nice and high in that thank you message. And then once that form is submitted, again, we've got to take them to meaningful contact or meaningful content. They've interacted with us, they've given us their email address. Let's thank them with a nice story or something they can take action with, not a, hey, Ashley, did you know for $20 a month, you could really make an impact? I just raised $500. Don't ask me for money right now. This is not the appropriate time to ask me for money. So we want to bring them through this really nice journey and have them leaving feeling really connected and wonderful about the things that they've done for your org and the way that they've interacted. All right, so we've talked about thanking, we've talked about getting contact information. The third thing we're going to talk about is this email journey, this personal email journey. Are you sure we're going to take people from Facebook and we're going to email them? Are you kidding me? Does this actually work? Yes, we're going to tell you about AFSP's success. So Ashley, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah. So as I said before, when we first started this engaging with Facebook fundraisers, we had utilized the messenger process, and that just we had a couple of things that we noticed. Again, because of the nature of our organization, we didn't want people questioning with the immediate responses like, is this a person? And so whenever we started with GivePanel, we're like, okay, there's so much we have to tell our donors, again, that we can't put on social media. But we have to be able to tell them certain things. And one of there's still the emails that they go into, the email journey is still short, sweet, to the point, but it allows us to put links in there to give them additional information. So for instance, as I said, we have a very varied group of Facebook fundraisers who are raising funds for different reasons. So we wanted to be able that those who are doing a walk have the information they need for a walk because they're doing a Facebook fundraiser. We wanted those who wanted to learn more about our programs to have that link to our programs. So everything we wanted to tell them, the email journey allows us to do that. And what the really great thing is the email journey, again, has that signature from my colleague, Michael. And so when they get that message, for them, and this is what was important to us, it's a message from Michael. They have no idea that, and again, the conversation from there, Michael responds, they have a conversation. So there still is that personal touch, but because there's thousands of Facebook fundraisers that are created a month, Michael would be very unhappy with me if I said, stay glued to your computer and answer all of those. So with the email journey, GivePanel allows us to not only be timely in our interactions with the individuals, but then also adds that personal touch. I mean, I have seen emails come through. Michael was recently out, and so I was filling in for him. And the responses, individuals had no idea that that was a triggered email, but then again, that personal touch was still there. And that was really important to us, again, that they felt like they were speaking to someone from AFSP, just not like a nameless sort of entity who's just providing them with information.
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to give you an example too of kind of the email that Ashley's talking about. So this is a triggered email that this is how short it is. And it's written just like you would write to your friends or your family, where I would send Ashley an email. There's not an image. There's not a lot of fluff at the beginning. It's very simple language. Again, it looks very personal. It's to Megan. It's from Mike. It's short and sweet. And it works. Just like Ashley said, she filled in for Mike and people are responding. So AFSP currently has 4 that are triggered right now. And you can see they're based on the timing after registration. So after signing up to start a fundraiser. So these are the 4 that they currently have. Ashley, do you want to highlight anything else on your email journey?
Sure. So the main things that we wanted to kind of lean into is what we did. In the past, we did surveys, as I mentioned, and different things. But, it was really about interest area, and that really didn't change. The trend on that response was the same, so we didn't feel like we needed to continue to lean into that. But we wanted to stay in certain areas, from the communications that we did previously that we know work. So for instance, that important information, with that first post that GivePanel does for you to get connected, we immediately wanted them to know important information that would affect their fundraiser. For instance, are you doing it for a walk? What are you doing it for? Just almost like that housekeeping email. Like, we want to make sure you're on the right path And so we're providing this information for you and links. The second is how can you be successful? So we wanted to give tips, links to the those resources I was telling you about with graphics and sample language, everything we could do to help make, sharing our story easier for fundraisers. Then we wanted to give them options on how they can stay connected. Do you want to volunteer? Do you want to find your local chapter? How do you want to be engaged with AFSP? Provide links for that. And then just a final thank you and letting them know what they mean to us. And again, giving them that last opportunity that if you have not redeemed for your recognition gift, you can do so now.
Perfect. So just some best practices for kind of step 3 here. So again, the emails are nice and short, they're personal and relevant. The goal is to make them feel like you are this is not, like Ashley said, it's not a mass email. It came to me and they noticed that I'm doing this great work for them. So just talking to them like you would talk to a friend or family member, and they're timely. So we have been, our Ashley's team's done a really great job of setting these up, but again, they're immediately after you register, they're a day or a few days after. You don't want to do this 3 weeks after someone does their birthday fundraiser, right? That's over. My birthday is done. So while it's top of mind, you're communicating with them and bringing them through that journey as well. I just want to talk about some overall results too. So these are the top 3 things we've been working on together since our engagement started. And so since April 1st, AFSP has raised over $1.3 million with birthday and organic Facebook fundraisers, with their average being almost $167 per fundraiser. Again, Ashley is really proud of that graph that she talked about, where we know that people who are interacting with us in those messages and providing their contact information go on to raise so much more than those that don't. But we do see an uplift in thinking when we thank our fundraisers. So those that do provide their information go on to typically raise three times more than those that don't. And then wanted to talk through these data capture rates as well. So again, we've moved these people, we've thanked them, we've made them, we thank them for their Facebook fundraising, and then we've moved them into our data database. And so since we've started, we've done 2,542 fundraisers have provided their data. And that's been an increase, obviously, but wanted to talk through a little bit of what that means. So if we guesstimate, or if our clients' feedback has told us about a $100 average is a good spot for us. So 2,542 brand new people into the organization at $100 each. That's over their lifetimes to over $254,000 for the organization. So it's so important to move them from Facebook, introduce them to the amazing things your organization does, how they can be more involved. We see a huge return on investment when we focus on this. So it's not only important to thank them on Facebook, but we've got to move them off Facebook into other avenues as well. Ashley, anything else you want to chime in before we jump into questions?
No. I definitely said, again, and Megan has said it a couple of times, but I do personally, that is the data that I look at first and foremost, is if we're thanking them and engaging them, what difference does it make? And it makes a huge difference. And we know that those are the people that we're going to move over into our CRM and who are going to continue to make a huge impact for the organization by volunteering, engaging, joining a chapter, whatever it is.
Yeah, we're taking our best leads and bringing them over, right? We're not just, we're not cold calling at that point. They've engaged with us. We know that they raise more and we've captured their data. So I'm sure there's a sales or marketing person or two on the call. It's like, yes, that is the list we would want. That's who we want to ask for donations to continue being more involved. They're warm leads. They're ready to go. So yes, we're bringing the right people into the database, which is awesome. I'll just leave my contact information up here just for a minute. Again, I know Mark, the Cathexis team will be sending out the recording and this deck as well. But if you have any questions of how we GivePanel can help you, or you just need Facebook help in general in terms of fundraising, please reach out. Would love to assist you, especially if we can help you raise more money. And that being said, this is our time for Q&A. We left a few minutes, so if you want to use the Q&A and or the chat functionality, Ashley and I will hang out and answer some more questions. You can also reach out to me one-on-one if you don't want to ask your question in a group setting. It is Friday, so thank you for, just about everyone stayed with us for the full hour, so thank you. Happy Friday to everyone. Ashley and I will hang out and look for questions. Otherwise, have a wonderful weekend, and we look forward to finding more ways to help you increase your Facebook fundraising. Oh, I'm probably supposed to remind you about the survey too.
Nope, all good. Yeah, if anybody has, when you wrap up, definitely we'll close out of the session and then it'll pop up a survey. So don't forget to fill that out. And if anybody has any questions, definitely please ask them.
Perfect.
That was awesome. Very informative. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. I'm not seeing any questions, so I think it's time to call it a weekend. What do you think? All right. Thanks for your time. Appreciate
Thank you.
everybody
No, thank
attending. And
you.
thanks, Megan and Ashley. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.